All right, everybody, so I just want to give you a little bit of an over-the-shoulder look of what we're doing here. Alan is actually holding that tension right there, allowing me to take my tool in here and push up these little bitty lows. You can see we definitely got one sitting right in there. I mean, that is a very, very powerful. Even though he's holding that down, that pressure that I'm putting right here is very, very powerful. Like, for instance, if he was to take that tool away, if he was to take the pressure off of there, look how quick it oil cans. And it stays into an oil can position. So we definitely want to be able to shrink this thing up and get this thing in shape without it going in that direction. So go ahead and hold the tension there, Alan. And each little push here is actually shrinking this thing, making it to where each and every pass that I go through here is going to be a little bit more manageable each and every time. All right, let loose. All right, guys, so I'm going to keep on going through here and just getting this area nice and cleaned up, trying to get the pattern and tighten it real close together before we go in here and do a little bit of wet sanding. And at that point, it's going to blend in rather nicely. I mean, we're going to be doing a little bit of push work here at the end, but all in all, we're getting real close to finishing this thing out. All right, everybody, so now we got this thing to the point where I definitely want to clean it up with a little bit of wet sanding here. You can see that that clear coat on that little scratch right there really kept it together throughout the process. So we're getting to a point here where we're getting really down to the nitty-gritty here. So I'm going to go ahead and do a little bit of wet sanding and buffing, and I'm going to run through this thing and maybe do a little bit more touch-up work before we're able to go ahead and display our finished results. All right, everybody, so we now have this door hung back on the vehicle and it's all finished. Again, you know, we were looking for about a 90% removal. I did think it came out a little bit better than that, but this right here obviously you see the damage right now. I mean, the thing was buckled into several different spots and a big old low up throughout the panel. Definitely had to fight an oil can style dent during the hole pushing procedure. So with all them obstacles in our way, 3 different curves to blend out, I think it came out great for what it was. But let's go ahead and jump in here and take a look at the after shot here, and then we'll talk a little bit more about you know, what we learned during this repair process. All right, guys, so there we have it. You want to check it out here. This is the finished result from our repair process, and came out real decent. I mean, definitely not perfect, but we weren't looking for a flawless, you know, finished product. Just wanted you to take a look at it here and check out, you know, how we were able to reform this panel pretty close back to its original condition. And the customer and the client is going to be ecstatic, and that. All right, everybody, I wanted to go over a few things that we've actually learned during this process. I think some of the important things to note is that when you have a big old low, a wobbly dent, you got to begin stabilizing that thing. So basically, to begin with, we took our pushes with our soft tip tool and stabilized it into that body line. So that way, you know, if you notice, the more that we worked that area that was around that body line, the better the surrounding area and the easier it was to actually make pushes and begin stabilizing itself for a finished repair. Another thing that we learned, when you get into an area of a panel that has 3 different curves, okay, when you start pushing, that thing's gonna buckle in and out throughout the repair process. So you're gonna wanna figure a way to actually maintain and hold that panel down while you're making your concentrated pushes, okay? I'm gonna go as far to say that probably 70% of this was actually pushed up and tapped down with a soft tip tool and a soft tip knockdown. After that, went into the refining work using a sharper tip knockdown, and there was a little while that I actually used a double bend tool that had more of a bullet point to it. And then we moved into the hockey stick tool, because with the curve that it has, we could sink it down underneath that brace. That was another thing that we learned right off the beginning. We cut the glue from that elongated brace on the inside of the panel, releasing most of the damage. In fact, that thing was holding that damage so tight that when it came up, it threw everything, turned everything into massive high spots. At that point, we had to relieve that pressure as we brought it up with balance. So when we're relieving pressure, we're pushing to keep it balanced so it all doesn't sink back into kind of like a big low. Once you'd be surprised, you do these doors, you put them on a stand, you might see little micro flaws here and there while you're working it on a nice flat hood stand, and you get that thing hung on the door and it's way down low like that. I mean, it just blends itself right in. So we're gonna have a very, very happy client with this repair. And I'll tell you, it would have been very, very hard to get it to this point without pulling it off the car. So that's some of the things that we learned there. You definitely want to, whenever you have a crack in the panel, to keep that crack from spreading and breaking into the rest of it, put a little bit of clear coat on top of it. Typically, you're going to buff that out in the end anyway. Now, I will tell you, when you do go to buff out a little stripe of clear coat, make sure that you don't go against the grain. You literally want to wipe that with the line. If you got a line going this way, that's the way you want to rub the towel whenever you're actually buffing that spot out. You start going back and forth against it like this, you have the ability for the towel to actually catch one of the edges and chip it off. We've had a lot of luck using clear coat, sealing cracks up for the repair process. Keeps them to where they do not spread throughout the panel. Other than that, guys, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up, and I look forward to seeing you on the next one.